Okay, hey everybody. So this is going to be the last post I'm going to be able to put forth this morning. Um, I have lots of things to do. Primarily, I need to go to my son's track meet this morning or this afternoon, which is why I came to begin with. Right, was his track meet um, and his prom, which is tomorrow night. So all the kids here are really excited. Although I will be doing, just so you know, at 1 o'clock Central Time, I will be meeting quickly with Lisa Butterworth on the Mormon Sex Info page. We're going to do a podcast about my reaction to the Washington Post article, as far as my opinions or ideas, or if I feel like they got, maybe a few things, few very tiny details incorrect, or at least adding context, right? That they may be, you can only make an article so long. um, but I just do want to say that this, I just have to say I've been feeling like in my Mormon language inspiration as all of this has been happening. You'd think that I would just be kind of grieving or depressed, and I am all those things. And yet every time I go to rest, it's like another idea comes, or you know, um, another sense of somebody who, I could reach out to, or who has reached out to me. It's just been this constant flow. Um, and I know that, I sometimes hesitate to speak in religious language because as a clinician, I really want to respect that everybody has their own journeys. And I don't want to speak in a way where, God exists for everybody. God exists for me. And yet that doesn't mean that that is the case for everyone. So I'm always trying to be careful about that. And honor those people's, experiences and thoughts, and possibility that's a possibility that, I may be wrong. So anyway, what was my point? So my point is that one of these kind of inspirational things was, creating kind of these like short videos with Mormon sexual shame stories, and just create a little video with anybody's story that they want to share. And these will be edited. So these are my Facebook Live ones, but they'll be edited, and we're going to put them on a YouTube channel just with that small clip that shares the story. And that's what I'll be doing right now with story number 2. All right. Let's see if I can gather my thoughts and get the next one going here. Sometimes I have so many things open that I forget where I put things. Okay, here we go. Mormon Sexual Shame Story number 2. This is one of the hundreds of letters written to church leadership on my behalf so that I don't lose my membership in my church community for speaking clinical truths as an ASECT certified sex therapist. Dear Mr. President Daly, actually, you know what? I'm gonna edit that out. So Ashley, just listen to that. Ashley Pacini is my editor of videos. She does an excellent job. Anyway, because even though up until Sunday, these letters are addressed to President Daly, who is the person organizing this particular membership council, I want the stories to be really greater. So this is just about sharing experiences. So I'm not going to include really the one individual that's currently involved just for this short amount of time. Okay. I am writing to share my experience, strength, and hope for a better future for our Mormon brothers and sisters as it relates to sexual and reproductive health. I spent over 7 years in reproductive health care while living in Salt Lake City, Utah. I worked for the Rape Recovery Center via the University of Utah and the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners team, training medical professionals to collect and document evidence as well as interview survivors. I have taught in jails all over Utah, treatment centers, women's safe houses, mental health observation centers. I taught a healthy relationships class to kids that were aging out of foster care. I taught youth sex offenders in Springville, Utah. The church needs Natasha. I have interviewed young brides that have asked if they can have her. if they can have their hymen cut out so that sex doesn't hurt the first time. I've conducted intakes for brides that ask for dilators to stretch open their hymens so that they don't bleed when they have sex for the first time. They are terrified. I talked to young women who are sobbing because they can't enjoy sexual intimacy with their partner due to shame, guilt, embarrassment, fear, and sometimes actual disgust over sexual intercourse and sexual intimacy. It is uncommon to care for young Mormon women that are well educated about their bodies and how to negotiate sexual interactions. And as such, the church needs Natasha. I've counseled rape survivors that refuse to report because of who the offender is, Mormon and a priesthood holder. And they can't risk that they will be accused of lying, so they keep the secret, and he goes on to become, quote, well respected, unquote. I've counseled young women that have been molested by their brothers, their fathers, and their bishops. We need to keep her close. I now live in Arizona and have spent another 4 years in reproductive health and in a heavily Mormon area. And the same issues are destroying women and new marriages. Fear of sexual intimacy, fear of arousal, fear of their partner's body, excuse me, fear of erections, etc., etc., etc. If you push her out, you are laying the foundation for more misery and pain. If you excommunicate Natasha, you will have lost one of the best and brightest. I hope you do the right thing and protect your members, which means keeping Natasha. We shouldn't even have to ask. Sincerely, Amy Anderson. I am collecting Mormon LDS stories of sexual shame. Storytelling and witnessing is part of healing, something I am profoundly dedicated to. This is a free labor of love I'm willing to do as time permits. Feel free to submit yours as part of a witness to this collective Mormon wound. You can do so anonymously. You can attach your name if you'd prefer, and you can even submit a video of you telling your own story if you feel that's an empowering, healing thing for you to do. You can contact me at my professional Facebook page, Natasha Helfer, LCMFT, CST, CSTS, or submit to natashahelfermft@gmail.com. I am honored with your trust and sharing. Every time you hear the name Natasha, please translate that to mean any ethically minded clinician who is culturally competent, sex positive, and practices in ways that are supported by evidence and best practices delineated by governing bodies in the sexual science field. This is not about me, it's about you. It's about us. It's the rotten inheritance of sexual shame that predates Mormonism by millennia. These will also be shared on a YouTube page I am in the process of creating, Mormon Sexual Shame Stories. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day while I try to even figure out how to end this. Although I just want to say that reading that kind of stuff is just sobering, and it's almost a little bit triggering in a sense, because I have sat with exactly what Amy's talking about my entire career, and even dealt with my own aspects of my own sexual healing that I had to get through. If anybody's interested, by the way, John DeLynn from Mormon Stories did a personal interview. It's one of the very few personal interviews I've given about my own personal life. And I talk about my sexual shame story on there. So if somebody wants to find it for me, because I don't have time, and maybe share it here under the comments, that would be really greatly appreciated. But I have my own, sexual shame story where I was told things like, as a 16-year-old, that the premarital sex that I had consensually with a loving boyfriend was a sin next to murder. I was kicked out of BYU for having gone and confessed and trying to put myself right with God in regards to ideas that I had about what sexual sin was at the time. Um, and even if I did agree, or if the church agrees that it was sexual sin or not, the fact that that interplayed with an accredited university here in the United States of America and interfered with my adult higher education is exactly the type of concern I have, and the conflicts of interest of how oftentimes religion overreaches in areas that they should not be meddling. Thank you.